Hi, I'm Skylar Dadigan and this is the fourth episode of Siel Soektog. Ek is liefde, ek is lig, vat 'n bietjie van my sig. I am love, I am light, here, take some of my sight. Today we have a very special person that's coming to speak to us. Her name is Ingrid Daniels. Ingrid, please introduce yourself and tell us about your roles in the mental health sector.
Well, good morning, Skylar. As you indicated, I'm Dr. Ingrid Daniels, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Cape Mental Health. Cape Mental Health is the oldest and the largest community-based mental health organization in South Africa, and I would go as far as probably saying on the continents. I've also been very actively engaged in the mental health sector globally, and currently I serve as the past president of the World Federation for Mental Health. So mental health is what I breathe. Mental health has been my passion. It's been my focus for over 30 odd years. So I've been in the mental health field for many years. And I'm passionate about it because I realize, and I know this, that mental health is critical and it's important for all of us. All of us need good mental health. If we don't have good mental health, it impacts on our everyday lives, in our relationships, in our friendships, in our employment, in school, in every sector of our lives.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are also a lecturer?
Yes, I am. I'm an honorary senior lecturer in the Division of Intellectual Disability, Department of Psychiatry at the University of Cape Town. And then I'm also a lecturer at the University in Bochum, specifically the Evangelische Hochschule in Bochum in Germany. And I teach there twice a year. And so, yes, so I have, my feet in both worlds, I should say, in direct practice as well as academia, which allows me to stay abreast of current research and new innovations and interventions so that we can get scalability and more people can have access to mental health interventions.
So how important is mental health care in South Africa's climate?
Well, and you would know this, mental health is of critical importance, not only in South Africa, but the world over. And we've seen an increase in prevalence during the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to all the social determinants and factors, people are finding it very difficult in our world today. But South Africa specifically, there are many risk factors in our communities and specifically in our country.
Can you name a few?
Yes, of course. These include poverty. As a start, we know that if you live in poverty, you're more likely to have a mental health condition. And if you have a mental health condition, you're more likely to live in poverty. Gender-based violence, trauma, intergenerational trauma, violence. We have significantly high crime statistics. So South Africans are exposed to this daily. But besides this, gangsterism, bullying, be it on social media, be it in the school playgrounds, the list is endless. And these are the risk factors that predispose people to mental health conditions.
What, in your opinion, are some of the benefits of seeking professional counseling with Cape Mental Health?
Well, I want to encourage anyone and everyone to seek support, to seek assistance at the very start, at that very beginning, when you realize that your mental health is being challenged. And we know the triggers, we know what they are. It is so important to seek assistance and mental health intervention because we know the earlier we intervene, the better the outcomes, the better the prognosis. And that applies to physical health as well. We know that, if you have a physical health condition, the sooner you see the doctor, the sooner you see a professional, the better your outcome. And the same therefore applies to mental health. But there are often times when people experience difficulties and they don't necessarily have a diagnosis as such, but they just need someone to hold their hands. And if we can do that, we can prevent some of the common mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety. Having said that, when people do have a diagnosis, it's very important to know that they are not alone. They can receive help, and the fantastic thing about coming to Cape Mental Health is there's no charge.
It's free.
There's no fee.
It's absolutely free.
So there's no reason whatsoever why people can't come. We have a team of professional social workers, and they specialize in mental health specifically. If people are needing further interventions, we have the contacts to be able to refer people to the various health facilities, be it in their communities or be it, the more sort of the district hospitals. So there's great advantage that we can help people navigate whatever those challenges are and support them on that journey. And it's a recovery journey, and it's different for different people.
Do you also provide counseling telephonically or via WhatsApp, as maybe not everyone is able to come to Cape Town, maybe not everyone is living in Cape Town, so is that option also available to your clients?
Absolutely, Skylar. The one advantage that we've gleaned from the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to very quickly design virtual interventions. So we are very equipped to have counseling telephonically, even via the various virtual platforms such as Zoom or Teams. Absolutely, we're just a phone call away. We're really just a phone call away. You don't have to come into the office if you live quite far. And as you know, our province is large.
Yes.
So we're accessible.
Yes.
We're really accessible, just a phone call away. And our counselors, our professional social workers, mental health experts are available to be there for anyone who needs it.
Okay. So who are some of your clients? Do they come from all walks of life? What are their initial issues?
Yeah, so, I always say that any one of us can have a mental health diagnosis at any time of our lives. So no one's immune. Let me start off by saying that.
Yes.
Whether you, a highly qualified professional or not.
Yes.
None of us are immune. And I think the one lesson we take from the COVID-19 pandemic was exactly that.
Yes.
That everyone was affected regardless.
Yes.
And so people come from all walks of life, regardless of color, creed, status. It doesn't matter, because when you have a diagnosis, you need support. And people present with various and very different, issues really that have predisposed them. And it could be drug addiction, substance abuse problem, it could be gender-based violence, it could be a loss. And we know we've all had losses in our lives, and we know how that impacts on us. It could be the loss of a loved one, a loss of a relationship, a loss of a job, unemployment. So the spectrum is large, and it is really anyone and everyone who needs support. We are there.
So Estelle was one of your clients, I believe, in 2020. Could you briefly share how she has benefited from your services and how you saw her or interacted with her then and how she is now in 2024?
So I've known Estelle since 2020. And what an amazing woman. She is talented, she's gifted, she has the ability to use language, specifically Afrikaans, in a way that I'm mesmerized. And when she came in 2020, she presented obviously with a number of symptoms and concerns herself that she brought to the fore. And in that moment, we knew that what Estelle needed was, in fact, this very social work service that I had just spoken about. Someone who could hold her hand, someone who could say to her, you are not alone, you are not the only one. And for her to know that her diagnosis does not define her, that she's more than that. And I've watched her journey, I've watched how she just takes on these platforms where she's so creative, as a poet, as an artist. And in that gift that she has, she's been able to use that gift to advocate for people with mental health conditions, A, to access services, B, to be supported, C, to address the stigma and the barriers that often confront people with a lived experience of a mental health condition. And she's so fantastic to the point where, because as I said earlier on, I am the past president of the World Federation for Mental Health, but I'm specifically interested in women and the girl-child's mental health, globally speaking.
Yes.
And we have webinars, twice a year, sometimes we have it thrice a year, and these are global engagements that she was invited to present and to tell her story at one of these events, a global platform. And it is so amazing. And let me say, it's not easy. It's not an easy journey. It's a recovery journey. And recovery is different for different people. So there are moments when, she's asymptomatic and she's absolutely fine. And then there are moments where she has some setbacks. But be that as it may, she knows where to go. And she knows that she can come to Cape Mental Health at any time. But I think the most important thing that I want to say is that her diagnosis doesn't define her, it doesn't limit her, and she is an enabler and empowers others through her messaging.
Okay, thank you. That was very insightful, and sometimes, as she said, it's not easy for people who have mental health issues to keep going, because one day you could be fine, the next day you could be not. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. But because of Ingrid's initiative of Cape Mental Health, there is always help. I have another question for you that I think we all should think about and start to discuss. And that is, how can we as a society break the stigma that comes with being mentally ill? How do we remove the negative labels and the negative narratives within our communities, within school, within the family? How can we improve upon this?
Skylar, mental health is everyone's business. So every individual in this country and the world over have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to change the conversations, those negative conversations, be it in the tea room, be it around a dinner table. We all have a responsibility to change those negative labels. It's really critical because these labels and the stigma that people often encounter is limiting. It removes it strips away the self-esteem of the person with a lived experience.
Yes.
It's cruel. It's really cruel. And we know from our work, and I can say this to you, and from research that has been done, when we remove those negative comments, when we remove the negative conversations, and we take the dis out of disability, we start to see the abilities of people. We start to harness the sense of I can, it is possible, These labels are not empowering. They are not enabling. We don't define people by their diagnosis. We don't define someone when they have high blood pressure or asthma. But yet when people have a mental health condition, they are so easily defined by that. And these labels that are often out there are cruel, and they are ugly, to be honest, and we know what they are. They are so bad that I don't even want to mention it. But COVID-19 again was a wonderful, despite its devastation and the consequences that it left us all with, one thing happened during the pandemic. We all spoke about the challenges that we were facing. We were all talking about our mental health. Around the dining room tables, the conversation was open. And why can't we continue with those conversations today? So I challenge everyone, when they hear a negative label, when they hear the negative, it is our responsibility to change the conversation, to empower people. Because these negative labels, let me tell you, the negative narratives, the conversations, these are often the reason why people don't seek help. They're afraid that they may have a diagnosis, and yet this is what we're saying. We're saying, come, we can help you through this. This is a journey, and we can support you. So it's imperative that all of us become mental health advocates and ambassadors to ensure that people, regardless of their diagnosis, are given the space, the respect, and the dignity to be who they are and to be equal citizens, not lesser, equal contributing citizens of this beautiful country of ours.
I have two labels that I think we can mention that's usually very common. The first label is usually crazy. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Sy's mal, man.
Yeah.
How can we then step in and say, listen here, she's not crazy? How can we teach them to use a different word or see it differently?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Look, I would say, I hear it as well. And I step in immediately because this is what I do.
Yes.
And I'm an advocate.
Yes.
I'm a mental health advocate, and I'm an advocate for the rights of persons with a lived experience of a mental health condition. And so I will step in and I will say, I don't think that term is very encouraging. I don't think it's very embracing. I would suggest that you simply say she is dealing with some challenges and let's see how we can help her.
Yes.
Because this is the sad reality of it. These labels are made and then people walk away.
Yes.
Instead of saying we are concerned, we are seeing certain symptoms, let's help her. It would be better to say, I think she's going through some difficulties, instead of calling her, as you say, this term that is used so often, say as mal of hy is mal.
Yeah. The other one then also is he's lazy. She's lazy. Hy's lui. Hy wil niks doen nie. Hy wil heeldag net lê en slaap. But that is a symptom
Absolutely.
of many mental illnesses. It makes you tired. You are constantly exhausted.
Yeah.
And you can't help for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There are various reasons why people may be lethargic. Actually, they're not lazy.
Yes.
And this could be, as you correctly said, a symptom of depression.
Yes.
And it usually is.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not the only one. There's a whole set of symptoms that people have to have before they can be diagnosed as depressed. But often this is when people are, and particularly when you see this change in behavior, suddenly the person is sleeping more often.
Yes.
It might even be medication.
Yes.
It might even be medication. So to brand or label someone lazy isn't very empowering at all. And in the meantime, that person is really struggling. They are really battling with some of the issues. It could be, as I said, one of the symptoms. It could be a side effect of the medication. Instead of saying, how can we get support for this person? Because sometimes all it requires is another session with a psychiatrist, because they're the only ones who can really diagnose and obviously medicate to amend the medication. But if the person is in a depressive state, that's when we should be supporting and not be labeling. It doesn't help to call someone lazy. It does nothing. It does nothing. It doesn't facilitate support for that person.
And then my favorite one is sy soek aandag. He's looking for attention. But most of the times, you'll later found out that person was actually looking for help. It was a cry for help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a cry for help, you know. And not always in some certain diagnoses. The behavior could be part of the mental health diagnosis. And that's what we should be addressing, isn't it? How do we help this person to recover, to be on that journey of recovery? Instead of once again saying, she's attention seeking. That's negative, because when you say that, you walk away. But as you correctly say, this could be a very serious call for help.
Yes.
And remember, sometimes people are needing urgent attention, which can save their lives.
Yes.
You know, we know about the suicide prevalence in our country and the world over. And so I would say, you know, you could be saving a life. And you do save a life when you support people, when you say you're not alone, when you hold their hands and you connect them with the service providers and the people who understand what's going through. The other thing we do as well is we work with the family. You know, we even work with the friends if need be, obviously with consent, to help them understand what that individual's going through. But these labels are negative. They have no impact. The only impact it has is to strip away at the dignity and the self-esteem and the confidence of someone who's actually battling at that specific time.
You mentioned psychiatrists and medication. Does Cape Mental Health provide psychiatrists and medication as well?
So Cape Mental Health, as I indicated, provides professional mental health support, and these are social workers. We are not psychiatrists, so we can do provisional diagnoses because we are so experienced in the field. But when the person presents to us the first time, we will, as a matter of clinical intervention, refer to, and we usually work with the tertiary hospitals or community-based health centers to establish what that diagnosis is, and the health facilities will provide, the psychiatrist will prescribe the appropriate medication. So we obviously promote medication adherence because we are in the health sector. So we do promote health, adherence to medication because we know that helps.
Yes.
And then, but medication on its own is not enough to help people navigate these challenges, you know, and how to deal with the symptoms and how to deal with, the condition itself. That's where our strength lies, and to ensure that at a community level, people can access. And if we are not in your community, as you said, we're just a phone call away.
Yes.
So we are pro-health and we are pro-medication, but having said that, that on its own is not enough. So we have our model really speaks to a biopsychosocial, holistic approach to our interventions.
Okay, any final thoughts? Anything else you would like to share?
Yes, I do. I would like to invite everyone to participate in our Cape Town International Kite Festival, which will be in the month of October. There will be various events being flighted. And you know what's so important about this Kite Festival?
Yes.
It's got a beautiful theme. And this year the theme is Hope on a String. Now just think of it. A kite, beautifully created. And you know the Kite Festival, we have big, beautiful kites. And these kites take flight. And they soar against adverse winds. But what's fascinating is this fragile string that takes this beautiful kite into the sky. And it hovers. And it speaks to the creativity of people, the power and the resilience within all of us to navigate the most difficult challenges in our lives and to seek intervention, seek support. You are not alone. There is hope on that string.
That's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. I think Estelle appreciates you very much. She often speaks about you. She draws inspiration from you. You being a woman of color, gives her hope to also be a woman of color in her own right. In whatever she is going through, she knows that there's someone who's treated her with respect and dignity from step one. You always welcome her with a smile. You're always cordial. You always check in on her. And this is important because many times people think CEOs don't care about people or sy hou vir te groot of te dit of te daai, but there are people like you who are for humanity. So thank you for your work as well. And we really enjoyed today's interview.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm going to encourage all your listeners to become mental health advocates. Advocates that restores dignity, that supports people, that would facilitate the interventions that we can provide at no cost. So thank you once again for this amazing opportunity that we can speak about mental health.
Thank you.